Okay guys, how's it going? So look, what I'm doing for this particular unit, the Communicate Ideas Using Drawing unit, I am pre-recording some video. I will do stuff in class as well, but I'm deliberately pre-recording this for students who may be away, so they can actually view these videos at home and continue working from home, right? We're really under the pump, so there should be no excuse if you're at home. You should be watching these videos and completing the work, and I will send direct messages about that. All right, so look, what we're doing, all right? I am providing material on the whiteboards, and I am obviously going to be just demonstrating stuff on the boards as well, right? When we're looking at task 1, part 1, we're being asked to work with our peers. So in the context of when we made our horror film, we're working with our peers and discussing the ideas that we want to put forward, right? Thankfully, you've already made that film. So you can actually make very accurate notes about what you decided and what you'd planned. You can make extra notes up as well, just in case. So you could easily just go and acknowledge, oh yeah, look, we're, I said an idea that never made it into the film. That's totally fine. All right. When we get into part 2, all right, you're being asked to do peer feedback. All right. Now the peer feedback here, all right, we're going to do this in class, but I want you guys to swap with different people. Once you've actually completed the table, part 1, all right, just there, you need to swap with people on your table, all right, and just give feedback, all right? The feedback itself, all right, can be more or less anything you want as long as it's constructive, all right? So you need to write the name of the person giving the feedback. You need to then give feedback. So it could be, I think this shot is too difficult to achieve. Or it could be, this story looks like it's too long. Or it could be that, oh look, it doesn't feel like a horror movie because of this, this, and this. You need to itemize your reasons for your feedback. It needs to be constructive, right? The final column says adapt or ignore and your reason for why, all right? You can then easily just write down, I'm going to take this feedback on because yes, we do need another action beat, or we need another horror element. Or you might say, I'm not going to take this on because the idea just doesn't fit. You've got to give a reason for why you're going to ignore it. All right, so those boxes need to be filled out. All right, now, this is the reason I'm recording this, to actually just show you some drawing stuff. All right, task 3/4 is create a concept board to document the outcomes of your drawing ideas. All right, it can be done digitally, it can be done in the actual book. Either way, if you do it digitally or if you do it any other form, if you do it on freehand paper, it needs to be stuck inside this book on this page here. All right, so when you're sketching and designing your ideas, all right, we're not asking you to be the best drawer in the world, right? Quite frankly, no one really is, all right? Especially in this context, right? But we need to be able to communicate particular ideas, all right? So if we were gonna do something, if we were gonna draw particular ideas within this box, then we might wanna do stuff like, all right, we're gonna draw, all right, a mask, all right? We're gonna draw the mask of the villain, all right? I'm obviously just ripping off, what's it called? Friday the 13th, all right? But there's no reason you can't just draw something basic like this, all right? In there, because once again, this section here is actually all just rough sketch stuff, all right? You might want to actually just draw an axe, all right? And I've just ruined my pen. All right, so you might draw an axe with a big wooden handle. All right, we might draw some other stuff. So we might actually say, oh yeah, look, we're out in the middle of an old shed in the middle of the forest. All right, it all just depends on your level of skill with your drawing. But the important thing here is we are trying to communicate some kind of idea, all right? So I might just do that. All right, and then just have some trees in the background. All right, so that's me communicating my ideas. All right, I've got a mask, a killer, this. It does probably help to have some annotations and notes around this. All right, so I could just say killer's mask. All right, killer's weapon. All right, and then finally, just here, I'm just saying location. Cabin in the woods. Hopefully you're enjoying my bald spot in the back of my head. All right, so yeah, you've got that kind of stuff. It's just basic ideas that might be there. You might want to throw extra stuff in, right? Just remember, I know it's a horror movie and stuff, but please don't make your drawings overly graphic, all right? Try and communicate the idea in a way that, I say, you're not gonna be worried about getting pulled up for the graphic content of your drawing. All right, cool. So from here, we're moving into communicating and doing some reflection questions. All right. So with reflection questions, all right, it's talking about what we are planning on doing. All right. So with this, all right, what's the purpose of the drawing? All right, we'd be talking about communicating a clear visual idea on how the short film could be presented. That's the main reason we do storyboards for filming. All right, the other reason, the other purpose is we're planning ideas and solving problems before we're on set. All right, I've said this countless times. If you are not planning storyboards before you go and film, you are going to waste so much time arguing with each other about where the camera needs to be placed, what needs to be shot, whether we've shot something or whether we haven't, all right? So storyboards quickly solve that problem. All right, you've laid out everything in advance, you know what you need to shoot and where the camera needs to go, and then that just saves a lot of time, all right? Also, one of the purposes is to ensure that everyone on set, the actors, the directors, the cinematographer, lighting person, all know what to expect when they arrive on set, what needs to be shot, what needs to be filmed, right? So that's summarizing the purpose, right? The next question, in what context are these drawings being presented? In the form of storyboards. The key word is storyboards, all right? As a presentation for pre-production planning is another way of breaking it down, right? Normally you would do storyboards, you'd have a meeting at a board table and you'd actually show all your storyboards on the wall, explaining how the film is supposed to be put together, how it's gonna look, how it's gonna feel. That's the reason why people make storyboards, right? It also serves, and this is repeating myself again, but as a guide for actors, directors, and the cinematographer when they're on set and when they are filming. Right, so that's the context of how it will be shown. As storyboards, in the form of a presentation, in pre-production meetings, and then on set as a guide for when you're actually filming. Right, what drawing techniques are most suitable? Right, because we're talking about the horror genre, right, traditionally that's at nighttime, traditionally it's in dark locations, right, so it's fair to assume that our drawing techniques need to be on the darker side, all right? Showing that shadow, showing that distance. You're not gonna draw a picture of a bright sunny day and have the killer running around with an axe. That's not normally what we've come to expect with horror movies, right? So some techniques you might wanna look at, cross-hatching, right? And we will look at cross-hatching later on, right? Charcoal, so using charcoal because charcoal spreads very well and allows you to actually cover a lot of area in black or heavy shading very quickly, right? Other things can include smudging, right? So smudging is where you've just laid down your pencils, your charcoal or stuff, and then you get your thumb and you're just using it to spread and blend a whole lot more. So this is the kind of things you might also use when you're trying to make storyboards for a horror film, right? There is digital sketching. I personally do almost everything digitally nowadays, right? So if you've got your iPad and you've got an app like Procreate or another drawing app, there's no reason you can't draw your storyboards and do your work on there, but you've got to make sure it's printed out and stuck in the book, right? Then there is this one called chiaroscuro, all right? This is basically heavy contrast, right? There's a fantastic comic book series called Sin City. You might have seen the movie, all right? But essentially what it is like heavy blacks with like heavy black backgrounds with just very subtle white shading to indicate the highlights, right? So it's heavy contrast is what you're looking at, right? The potential tools that you might want to start using when you're planning this kind of stuff, right? Our iPad, once again, is perfectly fine with any kind of drawing app, right? Light boards can be great if you're needing to trace or draw. Also, we've got things like paper, like ideally the materials you might need is paper, white paper or black paper, right? They're the two key ones that you'd want to use. Pencils and charcoal are also really good for laying out your sketches and designs, but then also you can use inks. So white ink or black ink, obviously to highlight certain things, all right? Cool. So then we get on to task 5 or part 5 of task 1. Right? This is listing the appropriate materials for you, right? So in the lesson, you will actually find like a breakdown of every type of tool that you might want to do, along with their characteristics and how they would be used. I'm going to pre-write that up in a document. I want you to look at that list, pick 3 that you feel are most appropriate for the type of drawing you're planning on doing, and obviously list them in this table. All right, finally with part 5, it's complete, continuing part 5, you actually need to complete the following question. Describe at least 3 different approaches to drawing, all right? Now, we've listed them already. You pick the ones that you feel are gonna be best suited to your skill, right? So that's referring back to cross-hatching, charcoal, smudging, digital sketching, using the chiaroscuro approach, using an iPad for drawing, using a light board for tracing, right? Using black paper with white ink, or using white paper with black ink, using pencil, charcoal. They're the kind of things that you want to list, but only list 3 approaches, all right? It's up to you there, but the list is there. Right? And this takes us to the end of task 1.